The emergency alarm rang through the Galactic Medical Council building. Red lights flashed on every wall. Dr. Wu Dami ran down the long hallway, her white coat flying behind her. She had never heard the alarm this loud before. The main meeting room was full of worried faces. Representatives from 12 different worlds sat around the big table. Their skin colors ranged from green to purple to silver, but they all looked scared. "What happened?" Dami asked as she took her seat. The Earth flag hung behind her chair. "We got a message from the Villani Republic," said Council Leader Prex. His blue tentacles shook as he spoke. "It's very bad." The large screen on the wall came to life. A face appeared. Blue skin, large eyes, and a look of complete terror. Dami recognized him as Chancellor Thyros, the leader of the peaceful Villani people. "Please," Thyros said, his voice breaking. "We need help. Our world is dying." The image changed to show the surface of Villanis Prime. Dami gasped. Where green fields and beautiful cities once stood, there was only death. The ground was covered in a red, moving substance that looked like blood mixed with oil. Buildings had melted into strange shapes. Bodies lay everywhere. "The Krathan Empire did this to us," Thyros continued. "They dropped something from their ships 3 weeks ago. We thought it was just another bombing, but this is different." The camera moved closer to show the red substance. It was alive. It moved across the ground like a hungry animal. When it touched anything living, that thing began to change. Plants turned black and died. Animals became twisted monsters that attacked everything around them. "Our people," Thyros' voice shook. "When the red stuff touches them, they get sick. First they get a fever, then their skin starts to fall off. But they don't die. They become something else, something that attacks their own families." Dami felt sick watching the video. She had seen many terrible things in her work as a doctor, but this was worse than anything she could imagine. "We have maybe 3 weeks before everyone on our world is dead or changed," Thyros said. "We're sending this message to anyone who will listen. Please, we need medical help. We need doctors and medicine and hope." The message ended. The room was silent for a long moment. "How many people live on Villanis Prime?" asked Dr. Nexus from the Rigel system. 7 billion, Prex answered. "All of them peaceful farmers and teachers. They never hurt anyone." "What about the Krathan?" Dami asked. "Where are they now?" "Still in the system," said Commander Voss, the military advisor. "They have ships around the planet. They're not letting anyone in or out. But they're also not finishing the attack. It's like they're waiting for something." Dami stood up. "This isn't just a disease, it's a weapon. A biological weapon. The Krathan are using it to kill everyone so they can take the planet." "We know," Prex said sadly. "But what can we do? The Krathan have a strong military. We can only send medical supplies and research teams." "How long would it take to develop a cure?" asked Dr. Nexus. "Months, maybe years," answered Dr. Kellis from Arcturus. "We've never seen anything like this before. The red substance seems to change constantly. Every time we think we understand it, it becomes something different." Dami looked at the frozen image of the dying planet on the screen. Somewhere down there, children were crying for their parents. Parents were watching their babies turn into monsters. Good people were facing a horrible death because bad people wanted their land. "There has to be something we can do," she said. "The only thing that might work fast enough would be to remove the source," Commander Voss said quietly. "But that would mean fighting the Krathan directly. None of our member worlds have that kind of military power." "What about Earth?" asked Dr. Nexus. "Humans have a reputation for being creative in difficult situations." All eyes turned to Dami. She felt the weight of 7 billion lives pressing down on her shoulders. Earth was still new to the galactic community. Most worlds thought humans were just another peaceful species that liked to explore and make friends. They were wrong about that. Dami thought about her brother Jiho, who served in the Earth Defense Force. She thought about the stories he told her about human military training, how they prepared for every possible threat, how they never gave up when innocent people needed help. I need to make a call, Dami said. She walked to the communication booth in the corner of the room. The other representatives watched her with hope in their eyes. They thought she was going to ask Earth to send doctors and medical supplies. Dami opened a secure channel to Earth Command. Captain Park Ji-ho's face appeared on the small screen. He looked surprised to see his sister calling during an emergency session. Dami? What's wrong? I'm sending you a file, she said. Look at it now. Ji-ho's expression changed as he watched the footage from Valanus Prime. His face became hard and cold. This was the look he got when someone threatened innocent people. Krathen? He asked. Yes. Biological weapons, 7 billion civilians. Medical assistance requested? Dami looked back at the other representatives. They were all watching her hopefully. They expected her to ask for the usual things. Doctors, medicine, research teams. Medical assistance authorized, she said carefully. Use standard human medical protocols. Ji-ho smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. Understood. Medical response. Will be comprehensive. We'll treat the source of the infection. How long? 48 hours for initial response. Full treatment within the week. Dami closed the connection and returned to the table. The other representatives looked at her with hope. Well? Prex asked. What did Earth say? They're sending medical assistance, Dami said. It was the truth. Just not the kind of medical assistance the Council expected. How much? Dr. Nexus asked. How many ships? Enough, Dami answered. Earth takes medical emergencies very seriously. They'll send whatever is needed to cure the problem. She looked at the image of the dying world on the screen. Soon, the Krathen would learn something important about human medicine. Sometimes the best way to cure a disease was to remove the thing that caused it. And humans were very good at removing things that hurt innocent people. The Council began making plans for supporting the Earth medical mission. They talked about supply lines and communication protocols. They had no idea they were actually planning support for something completely different. Dami sat quietly and waited. In 2 days, the Krathen Empire would get their first lesson in human medical care. She almost felt sorry for them. Almost. Admiral Lee Sujin was drinking coffee when the emergency message arrived. She was on the bridge of the Incheon's Pride, watching her fleet practice combat maneuvers near Saturn. The big ships moved like dancers in space, each one exactly where it needed to be. Admiral, said Communications Officer Kim. Priority message from Earth Command, medical emergency authorization. Sujin raised an eyebrow. Medical emergencies usually meant sending hospital ships and doctors. But the code attached to this message was different. This was a combat authorization disguised as medical aid. She read the message twice. Then she read the attached files about Valanus Prime. Her coffee grew cold as she watched the videos of dying civilians and the red plague that was killing them. Krathen biological weapons, she said quietly. Against civilians. Her bridge crew gathered around to look at the data. These were good people who had joined the military to protect others. Seeing children suffer always made them angry. Sir, said Tactical Officer Park, the Krathen fleet is surrounding the planet. They're not letting anyone in or out, but they're also not stopping the plague. They want everyone to die slowly. Sujin stood up. She was not a tall woman, but everyone on the bridge knew she was dangerous when innocent people were threatened. Sound general quarters, she ordered. All ships prepare for immediate deployment. Medical emergency protocols. Alarms began ringing throughout the fleet. On dozens of ships, thousands of crew members ran to their stations. They moved with the speed and precision that came from years of training. Medical protocols, sir? Asked Lieutenant Commander Cho. The Valani have a disease, Sujin explained. The disease is called the Krathen Empire. We're going to cure it. Within an hour, the entire 7th Fleet was ready to jump to hyperspace. 3 carrier groups, 12 destroyers, 6 cruisers, and support ships loaded with everything they would need. Dr. Kim Min-ho arrived on the flagship carrying medical supplies and research equipment, but he also brought something else. Detailed files on Krathen biology and their known weaknesses. Admiral, he said as he joined her on the bridge. I've analyzed the biological weapon. It's modified from a natural Krythan virus. The good news is that means we can develop countermeasures quickly. The bad news is that the Krythan never developed a cure because they never planned to cure it. How long to develop treatment? Sujin asked. If I can get samples and access to their research, data maybe a week, but we'll need to capture their lab facilities intact. That can be arranged. Lieutenant Colonel Chohana contacted them from the marine ship Soul's Hammer. Her face appeared on the main screen, and she looked ready for a fight. Admiral, my people are loaded and ready. What's the mission profile? Medical intervention, Sujin said. We need to remove the source of infection and secure research facilities for Dr. Kim. Standard rules of engagement apply. Protect civilians, minimize collateral damage, accept surrender when offered. And if they don't surrender, then we provide more aggressive treatment. The Galactic Medical Council sent a message asking when the Earth medical ships would arrive. Admiral Sujin recorded a careful response. Council representatives, this is Admiral Lee Sujin of the Earth Defense Force. Earth medical doctrine requires comprehensive treatment of disease sources. Our medical intervention fleet is en route and will provide complete care for all affected parties. Estimated arrival in 36 hours. She didn't mention that the medical intervention fleet was one of the most powerful military forces humanity had ever assembled. 24 hours later, they received an update from Valanus Prime. The situation was getting worse. The Red Plague was spreading faster and the Krythan were starting to land ground forces to secure mining equipment. They're not even waiting for everyone to die, Dr. Kim said with disgust. They're already starting to strip mine the planet. Admiral Sujin made a fleet-wide announcement. All ships, this is Admiral Lee. We are approaching a planet where innocent people are dying from biological weapons. The enemy thinks they can commit genocide and steal resources while the galaxy watches. They are wrong. We are going to show them what happens when humans provide medical care. Every civilian saved is a victory. Every war criminal captured is a step toward justice. Every Krythan ship that surrenders quickly will be treated well. Those that don't, won't. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. 36 hours later, they would arrive at Valanus Prime. Back at the Galactic Medical Council, Dr. Wu Dami received worried messages from other representatives. They had detected the massive energy signature of a large fleet jumping to hyperspace from Earth's direction. Dr. Wu asked Council Leader Prex, "Are you sure Earth is only sending medical assistance? Our sensors detected what looked like a major military movement." "Earth takes medical emergencies very seriously," Dami replied. "Human medical protocols are comprehensive. When we treat a disease, we treat all aspects of it, including the source." She wasn't lying. Human military doctrine did consider biological weapons attacks to be medical emergencies, and the treatment was always the same. Remove the threat, treat the victims, prevent future outbreaks. Meanwhile, the Krythan Empire was celebrating. Admiral Vextar sent a report to his superiors, saying that the Valani would all be dead within the week. The planet's rare mineral deposits would soon belong to the Empire. "Any word on galactic response?" asked his second-in-command. "The Medical Council is sending some kind of assistance." Vextar laughed. "Probably doctors and medicine. Too little, too late. By the time they arrive, there won't be anyone left to treat." He had no idea that medical assistance was already on its way, and it was bringing enough firepower to sterilize his entire fleet. On Valanus Prime, Chancellor Thyros huddled in an underground bunker with the last free government officials. They had lost contact with most of their cities. The Red Plague was everywhere, and Krythan ground forces were setting up mining operations in areas where everyone had already died or been changed into monsters. "Any word from the Medical Council?" asked his advisor. "They said Earth was sending medical assistance," Thyros replied. "But what can doctors do against this? We need a miracle." He was about to get one, just not the kind he expected. 36 hours after leaving Saturn, the Earth fleet prepared to drop out of hyperspace at Valanus Prime. Admiral Sujin stood on her bridge looking at the tactical display. "All ships report ready," announced Communications Officer Kim. "Dr. Kim, are your medical teams prepared?" Ready to begin treatment as soon as we secure the area, the doctor replied. Colonel Cho, are your Marines ready for ground operations? Ready? To perform surgery on anyone who gets in the way of medical treatment, came the reply from the Marine ship. Admiral Sujin looked at the display showing the dying planet ahead of them. Somewhere down there, innocent people were suffering while their attackers laughed and counted their profits. All ships, she announced, prepare to provide medical assistance, human style. The fleet prepared to jump back into normal space. In a few minutes, the Krathen would learn that when humans say they're coming to help, they mean it. And human help often came with weapons attached. The medical mission was about to begin. Space around Valanus Prime had been quiet for weeks. The Krathen fleet floated in formation, watching the planet die below them. Admiral Vextar was pleased with how the operation was going. The biological weapon was working perfectly, and soon they would own everything. Then something impossible happened. The space near the planet suddenly filled with light, not the small flashes that usually meant ships arriving, but massive tears in reality itself. Something very large was coming through hyperspace. What is that? Vextar demanded from his command ship. Multiple contacts, his sensor officer reported. Very large contacts, energy signatures are... Sir, these are not medical ships. The first ship to emerge was huge. It was twice the size of Vextar's flagship and covered with weapons. Then another appeared. Then another. Within minutes, 37 human warships floated in space around Valanus Prime. This is impossible, Vextar whispered. We were told Earth was sending medical aid. On the bridge of the Incheon's Pride, Admiral Lee Sujin watched the Krathen fleet with cold eyes. She had counted their ships and analyzed their positions. They were strong, but they had made two mistakes. First, they thought they were fighting doctors. Second, they had spread out to blockade the planet instead of staying together for defense. Communications, she ordered. Open channels to both the Krathen fleet and any surviving Valani leadership. Channels open, Admiral. Sujin straightened her uniform and put on her most professional medical voice. Krathen forces, this is Admiral Lee Sujin of the Earth Defense Medical Corps. We are here to provide medical assistance to the people of Valanus Prime. You have 30 minutes to evacuate all personnel from the planet's surface and provide complete research data on the biological weapon you deployed. Failure to comply will result in surgical removal of the disease source. On his ship, Admiral Vextar could not believe what he was hearing. Did she just threaten us? He asked his crew. With medical terminology? Sir, his tactical officer said nervously, their weapons are targeting our ships. I think surgical removal might not mean what we think it means. Sujin opened the second channel. Chancellor Thyros, this is Admiral Lee Sujin representing Earth Medical Forces. Relief has arrived. Please provide coordinates of all contaminated zones and civilian population centers. We will begin immediate treatment of both the disease and its source. In his underground bunker, Thyros stared at the communication screen. Through the static, he could see a human woman in a military uniform surrounded by other humans at what looked like weapon control stations. Are you doctors? He asked. We are medical professionals trained in comprehensive disease treatment, Sujin replied. We specialize in removing threats to civilian health. Please prepare your people to receive assistance. Thyros looked at his advisors. They were all confused, but they were also desperate. We're sending you our coordinates now, he said. Please hurry. We don't have much time. Admiral Vextar decided he had heard enough nonsense. Human ships, he broadcast. You are interfering with a legitimate military operation. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Admiral Vextar, Sujin replied calmly. You are suffering from a serious condition. The condition is called war crimes. We are here to provide treatment. The treatment may be uncomfortable, but it will be effective. This is ridiculous, Vextar snarled. All ships prepare to fire. Show these medical fools what real weapons look like. Before he could give the order to attack, something impossible happened. His weapons control systems went dead. All of them. At the same time. What happened to our guns? He shouted. Sir, his tactical officer said in a shaky voice. They hit us with some kind of precision beam. It didn't damage the ship, but it completely disabled our weapon systems. How did they do that so fast? On the Inchin's Pride, Tactical Officer Park smiled. Target neutralized, Admiral. Weapons system surgically removed with minimal damage to ship structure. Excellent work, Sujin said. That was a warning injection, Admiral Vextar. The next dose will be more aggressive. You now have 29 minutes to comply with medical evacuation procedures. The other Krathen ships watched in shock as their flagship floated helplessly. Its weapons were gone, but everything else worked. Fine. It was the most precise attack they had ever seen. How is this medical aid? Vextar's second-in-command whispered. Down on the planet, Dr. Kim Minho was already at work. Human medical teams had launched from the fleet in heavily armored shuttles. But these weren't normal medical shuttles. They were built like small warships, with shields and weapons to protect the medical crews inside. The shuttles landed in areas where Villani civilians were still alive. The human medics that came out wore power armor that could protect them from both the Red Plague and any Krathen attacks. They looked like soldiers, but they carried medical equipment along with their weapons. This is Dr. Kim Minho, he announced, on all frequencies. Medical teams are now on site. We are establishing quarantine zones and treatment centers. Any interference with medical operations will be treated as an attack on civilians. The human medics moved with incredible speed. In 2 hours, they had set up a treatment center that could handle thousands of patients. In 4 hours, they had created a safe zone around the Villani capital city. The Red Plague stopped spreading wherever the humans went. How are they doing this so fast? Asked Thyros, as he watched human medical teams work. They're not just doctors, his advisor said, with wonder. They're soldier doctors. Look how they move. Every medical team has armed guards. Every treatment center is also a fortress. Back in space, Admiral Vextar was running out of time. Other Krathen ships had tried to target the human fleet, but their weapons were disabled just as quickly and precisely. The humans seemed to know exactly where every important system was located. 28 ships disabled, reported his tactical officer. No casualties, but we can't fight back. Sir, how do they know our ship design so well? Vextar was starting to understand. Earth might be new to the galactic community, but they had been studying everyone else for a long time. They knew exactly how Krathen ships worked, and they had weapons designed to exploit every weakness. 10 minutes remaining, Admiral Sujin announced. We strongly recommend compliance with medical evacuation procedures. Dr. Kim reports that the biological weapon can be cured, but only if we have access to the original research data. Sir, Vextar's communications officer said quietly, maybe we should consider their offer. They haven't killed anyone yet, but those are definitely warships. Never, Vextar snarled. Signal the ground forces. Tell them to destroy all research facilities. If we can't have this planet, no one can. On the surface, Krathen soldiers received the order and began moving toward their research labs. They planned to destroy everything and blame the humans for the loss of life. They had forgotten about Lieutenant Colonel Chohana. Her Marines had been watching the Krathen ground forces from orbit. When the enemy soldiers started moving toward civilian areas, the Marines dropped from the sky like falling stars. This is Colonel Cho, she announced on the Krathen military frequency. You are interfering with a medical operation. Stand down immediately or face defensive medical procedures. The Krathen commander laughed. Medical procedures? You mean fighting? No, Cho replied as her Marines surrounded the Krathen positions. I mean we're going to cure you of the delusion that you can hurt civilians while we're here. The brief battle that followed wasn't really a battle. It was more like a medical procedure performed by very angry doctors. The Marines captured every Krathen soldier without killing any of them, but made it very clear that any further attempts to harm civilians would result in less gentle treatment. Admiral Vexitar watched his ground forces surrender and realized his situation was hopeless. These humans had planned for everything. They fought like soldiers but talked like doctors. They showed mercy but made it clear that mercy had limits. Time's up, Admiral Sujin announced. Beginning full medical treatment of the biological weapon crisis. All Krathen personnel prepare to receive humanitarian assistance. Vextar closed his eyes. He had expected to fight doctors and medical ships, Instead, he was facing the most professionally terrifying military force he had ever encountered, and they still insisted they were just providing medical aid. Dr. Kim Minho worked in his temporary laboratory on Valanis Prime. Around him, human medical teams treated Valani civilians while Marine guards watched for any threats. The Red Plague was finally under control, but Kim needed to find a permanent cure. He had samples of the biological weapon now. Under his microscope, the red substance looked like tiny machines made of living tissue. They were designed to change and adapt, which made them almost impossible to cure with normal medicine. "This is brilliant and horrible," he told his assistant, over the communication link. "Whoever made this understood biology better than most doctors, but they used that knowledge to create something that destroys life instead of saving it." Outside his lab, Lieutenant Colonel Cho Hana's Marines had completed their medical extraction of the Krathen research facility. The enemy soldiers were now in protective custody, waiting to be questioned. "Dr. Kim," Cho's voice came through the radio. "We've got the Krathen research team. They're scared but unhurt. Want to talk to them?" "Bring them to Lab 2, Kim replied. "I need to understand how this weapon works before I can cure it." 10 minutes later, Kim faced 6 Krathen scientists across a table. They looked terrified. They had expected to be tortured or killed, but instead they were being given food and medical care. "I'm Dr. Kim Minho," he said in a calm voice. "I'm here to help cure the disease you created. I need you to explain how it works." The lead Krathen scientist, a thin creature with gray skin, shook his head. "We cannot help you. Our loyalty is to the Empire." Kim pulled up images of Valani children on the wall screen. They were covered in red sores, crying for their parents who had been changed into monsters. "Look at them," Kim said quietly. "Look at what your loyalty created. These are not soldiers. They are children. Your weapon is killing children." The Krathen scientists looked at the images. Several of them began to shake. Even among the Krathen Empire, most people did not like seeing children suffer. "The weapon," Kim continued, "it's based on a natural Krathen virus, isn't it? You took something from your own world and made it worse." One of the younger scientists looked up. "How did you know?" "Because I've studied Krathen biology. The base structure is too similar to your natural immune system to be a coincidence. You weaponized your own common cold." The lead scientist glared at his younger colleague. "Say nothing. These humans are the enemy." Kim stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human medics were working to save Valani lives. Marines stood guard not just against Krathen attacks, but to protect the Krathen prisoners from angry Valani civilians. "Look outside," Kim told the scientists. "See those Marines? They're protecting you from people who want revenge. See those medics? They're saving lives that your weapon tried to destroy. We are not your enemy. We are doctors. Our job is to heal." The younger scientist spoke again. "The virus, we modified it to be aggressive, but we never developed a cure because the Empire said we would never need one. They plan to use it and leave the infected areas empty," Kim said. It was not a question. Yes. The Red Plague was meant to clear planets quickly so we could take their resources. Kim turned back to the table. "Then you understand why I need your help. This weapon will not stop with the Valani. Someday it might mutate and spread to other worlds, even Krathen worlds." The lead scientist scoffed. "Impossible. We built in safeguards." "Did you?" Kim asked. He showed them his analysis on the lab computer. "Look at this. The virus has already mutated 3 times since you released it. Your safeguards are failing. In a few months, this could spread through space and reach your homeworlds." The scientists stared at the data. They had created something that could destroy their own people. "We have to stop it," the younger scientist whispered. Meanwhile, in space above the planet, Admiral Lee Sujin dealt with a different problem. Admiral Vextar was making one last desperate attempt to destroy the evidence of his crimes. "All ships," Vextar broadcast on the Krathen frequency, "ignore the human threats. Target the planet's surface. If we destroy everything, there will be no witnesses." 6 Krathen ships still had some weapons left. They turned toward the planet and prepared to fire on civilian areas. Captain Park Jiho, commanding the destroyer Sol's Fury, intercepted the message. His ship was positioned between the Krathan fleet and the planet. "Admiral," he reported to Sujin, "enemy ships are targeting civilian areas. They want to destroy the evidence by killing everyone." "Denied," Sujin replied coldly. "Activate defensive. Medical procedures. Protect the patients." What happened next became a textbook example of precision warfare. The human ships did not destroy the Krathan vessels. Instead, they used targeted energy beams to disable every weapon, every engine, and every communication system on the attacking ships. The Krathan crews were left alive but completely helpless. "This is Admiral Sujin," she announced on all frequencies. "Attacking civilian medical facilities violates 17 galactic conventions. The Krathan Empire is hereby diagnosed with acute, criminal behavior. We are prescribing immediate corrective treatment." Admiral Vextar found himself trapped on a ship that could not move, fight, or even call for help. Around him, his fleet floated dead in space. "Surrender," he told his crew. "We have no choice." On the planet's surface, Chancellor Thyros watched human efficiency with amazement. In 12 hours, the humans had accomplished what the Galactic Medical Council said would take weeks. They had stopped the plague, captured the enemy, and secured the research needed for a cure. "They are incredible," he told his advisors. "They fight like demons, but heal like angels. Every action serves the same purpose: protecting innocent life." Dr. Kim Minho finally had his breakthrough. Working with the Krathan scientists who had agreed to help, he developed not just a cure for the Red Plague, but a vaccine that would prevent similar attacks. "The cure works by turning the virus against itself," he explained to Admiral Sujin over the communication link. "Instead of attacking healthy cells, the modified virus will seek out and destroy the Red Plague. We can cure everyone who's been infected." "How long?" Sujin asked. 2 days to produce enough medicine for the whole planet. 1 week to make sure everyone is healthy again." "And the Krathan scientists?" Kim looked through the window at the alien researchers. They were working alongside human doctors now, trying to undo the damage they had caused. "They're helping," he said. "I think they understand now that creating weapons like this was wrong. The younger ones are asking if they can stay and help rebuild what they destroyed." Admiral Sujin smiled. It was the first time anyone had seen her smile since the mission began. "Tell them that rehabilitation therapy is available," she said. "Human medical doctrine includes treatment for criminal behavior. They can work off their debt to the Villani people." As the cure spread across Villanis Prime, the Red Plague began to die. Infected people recovered. The twisted monsters changed, back into normal animals. The poisoned ground became fertile again. Chancellor Thyro sent a message to the Galactic Medical Council. "The human medical team has saved our world," he reported. "They did not just cure our disease. They cured the source of the disease. They forced our attackers to help heal the damage they caused. I have never seen anything like it." Back at the Medical Council, Dr. Wu Dami received worried questions from other representatives. "Dr. Wu," asked Council Leader Prex, "our sensors detected major weapons fire in the Villanis system. Was there fighting during the medical mission?" "There were some complications," Dami replied carefully. "The Krathan Empire attempted to interfere with medical treatment. Human medical teams had to perform emergency surgery on the interference." "Surgery?" "They surgically removed the Krathan fleet's ability to cause further harm. Very precise work. No unnecessary casualties." It was the truth. The humans had disabled an entire enemy fleet without killing anyone. They had captured war criminals and turned them into medical assistants. They had cured a planet and prevented future attacks. The galaxy was learning that when humans provided medical aid, they treated everything: the disease, the source of the disease, and anyone who tried to stop the treatment. Dr. Kim Minho's final report would become required reading at medical schools across known space. "The Red Plague has been completely eliminated. All affected civilians have been cured. The biological weapon research has been destroyed to prevent future outbreaks. The Krathen scientists responsible are now working to repair the damage they caused. This concludes the medical intervention. He did not mention the fleet of disabled warships floating in orbit. That was a side effect of the treatment. 3 weeks after the human fleet arrived at Valanus Prime, the planet was completely healed. The Red Plague was gone. The twisted monsters had returned to being normal animals. The poisoned soil was growing green plants again. Dr. Kim Minho stood in what used to be the main Krathen research laboratory. Now it was a medical center where human doctors worked alongside reformed Krathen scientists to help the last few recovering patients. "Final medical report," he said into his recording device. "The biological weapon known as the Red Plague has been completely eliminated from Valanus Prime. All 7 billion civilians have been treated and cured. We have also developed immunity boosters that will protect the Valani from similar attacks in the future." He looked through the window at former Admiral Vexitar, who was now working as a medical orderly. The proud Krathen commander was carefully feeding soup to a Valani child who had been sick for weeks. "Additionally," Kim continued, "we have successfully treated the criminal behavior that caused this medical emergency. Krathen personnel involved in the biological attack have been enrolled in our rehabilitation therapy program. They are making good progress." The rehabilitation therapy was working better than anyone expected. When the Krathen soldiers and scientists saw the results of their weapons up close, most of them felt genuine guilt. They wanted to help fix what they had broken. Some Krathen, like Vextar, had been harder to convince. But after spending weeks caring for the victims of his orders, he was changing. Taking care of sick children had a way of making people remember their humanity, even when they were not human. Chancellor Thyros walked through the medical center, amazed by what he saw. Krathen and Valani working together, human doctors teaching, alien scientists how to heal instead of harm, former enemies becoming friends through shared effort to help others. "Dr. Kim," he said, "I need to ask you something. Was this really a medical mission?" Kim smiled. "What do you think?" "I think," Thyros said slowly, "that humans understand something the rest of us forgot. Sometimes the best medicine is delivered by people who can fight, and sometimes the best fighting is done by people who can heal." In space above the planet, Admiral Lee Sujin prepared her fleet for departure. The disabled Krathen ships had been repaired just enough to fly, but their weapons remained permanently removed. They would return to Krathen space carrying a message about human medical capabilities. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Kim, "the Galactic Medical Council is requesting a full report on our medical intervention methods." "Send them Dr. Kim's medical files," Sujin replied. "Include the data on how biological weapons can be completely cured by removing their source." "What about the military action report?" "There was no military action," Sujin said with a straight face. "We provided comprehensive medical treatment. Some of the treatment required precision surgery to remove threats to patient health." She was not lying. From a human perspective, everything they had done was medical treatment. They had cured a disease, treated its victims, and eliminated the source of future infections. The fact that they had done it with warships instead of hospital ships was just a detail. Dr. Wu Dami received the reports at the Galactic Medical Council headquarters. She read through them carefully, translating the human medical terminology for her alien colleagues. "So," Council Leader Prex asked, "the biological weapon has been completely eliminated?" "Yes," Dami replied. "Human medical teams performed what they call source elimination therapy. They traced the disease back to its origin and treated the root cause." "And the Krathen Empire?" "They have been cured of their aggressive behavior through intensive rehabilitation therapy. The humans call it humanitarian correction. All former enemy personnel are now contributing positively to galactic health." "Doctor," Nexus from the Rigel system shook his head in wonder. "I have never heard of medical techniques like these. How did humans develop such methods?" "Humans have always understood that medicine and protection go together," Dami explained. "A doctor who cannot protect patients from the source of their illness is not a complete doctor. Human medical training includes defensive capabilities." What she did not say was that human medical training was often identical to military training. Human combat medics were soldiers who specialized in healing. Human military officers were warriors who specialized in protecting others. The galaxy had learned that the difference between human doctors and human soldiers was much smaller than anyone realized. 2 months later, Chancellor Thyros visited Earth to sign a mutual defense treaty. He was amazed by what he saw there. Human medical schools taught combat techniques. Human military academies taught emergency medicine. Everyone was trained to both heal and protect. "We want to learn," he told the Earth government. "Will you teach our people these methods?" "Of course," replied the Secretary of Health. "But remember, human medical philosophy requires total commitment. When you agree to heal someone, you also agree to protect them from anyone who wants to hurt them." "We understand," Thyros said. "We asked for doctors. You sent us healers who understand that some infections require more than medicine." The treaty was signed with full galactic support. The Galactic Medical Council officially adopted human medical protocols as an acceptable treatment method for biological weapons attacks. The new protocols included several important provisions. When biological weapons are used against civilians, medical teams may include defensive components. Source elimination therapy is approved for cases where diseases are artificially created and maintained. Rehabilitation therapy for criminal behavior is recommended for individuals responsible for medical emergencies. Humanitarian correction may be applied to organizations that threaten galactic health. Other civilizations began requesting human medical training. The courses were popular, though some students were surprised by the curriculum. "Why do we need to learn weapons targeting?" asked a student from Arcturus. "Because," explained the human instructor, "sometimes a tumor needs to be cut out surgically, sometimes a virus needs to be destroyed completely, and sometimes the source of disease needs to be removed before treatment can be effective." Admiral Vextar, now working full-time as a medical assistant, sent a report to his former superiors in the Krathan Empire. It was not the report they expected. "The humans did not defeat us," he wrote. "They healed us. They showed us what we had become and gave us a chance to be better. I recommend that the Empire accept their offer of medical assistance. We are all infected with the disease of cruelty. The humans have a cure." The Krathan Empire officially requested human medical aid in treating their cultural illness. Teams of human doctor soldiers were sent to help Krathan worlds learn peaceful ways of solving problems. Dr. Kim Minho's research on the Red Plague was shared freely with all galactic civilizations. But the research came with a warning label. Biological weapons development is a serious medical condition. If symptoms appear, contact human medical services immediately for aggressive treatment. 6 months after the Valanis incident, the Galactic Medical Council updated their emergency protocols. The new procedures included this note: when requesting Earth medical assistance, please specify if you want traditional treatment or comprehensive source elimination therapy. Human medical aid may include side effects such as regime change, involuntary peace enforcement, and sudden outbreaks of justice. The galaxy was learning to be more careful about what kinds of diseases they allowed to spread. Chancellor Thyros gave the final speech at the Galactic Medical Conference that year. "We learned something important from our human friends," he said. "True healing requires courage. You cannot cure a disease while allowing the source of that disease to continue operating. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to stop someone from hurting others, even if they do not want to be stopped." The humans showed us that the words doctor and warrior are not opposites. They are the same thing, seen from different angles. Both fight against death. Both protect the innocent. Both require the wisdom to know when mercy helps and when mercy harms. He looked out at the audience of medical representatives from dozens of worlds. "We asked for medical aid. We got it, just not in the form we expected. And we learned that sometimes the best medicine comes with weapons attached, because some diseases can only be cured by people brave enough to fight them." The applause lasted for 10 minutes. The galaxy had learned a new definition of medical care: human style.